Welcome to the Left of Str8 Show, where we talk entertainment, music, books, foodies, and more each week with special guest interviews of interest to the LGBTQ community and our straight allies. Direct from the entertainment capital of Northeast Ohio. Your host, Scott Fullerton, chats with some of your favorite entertainers, celebrities, newsmakers, and behind-the-scenes people across the country and around the world who make it all happen. So sit back, grab your favorite beverage, and let's start talking.
Back to the podcast. As always, I'm your host, Scott Fullerton. Today, I'm excited to have a very special guest returning to the show, singer and actor David Hernandez. David gained fame, of course, as a contestant on the hit show American Idol. He's been an amazing entertainer, performing all over the country and beyond, both previously and after his time performing on Idol. He has a new song out now and an amazing show happening tonight at the Laurie Beachem Theatre, if you happen to be lucky enough to be in New York City. I've been honored to have him on the show a couple of times before, but we really haven't had a chance to catch up in a hot minute since everything shut down. So we're going to go ahead and catch up a bit. He's been to Vegas. He's now in New York. I can't wait to delve into these latest journeys and see all that's happening. Please welcome back to the Left of Str8 Show, the handsome and talented Mr. David Hernandez. David, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing so good. Thank you.
I am so happy to have you back on the show. Like I said, you've been kind enough to come on a few times now, but pre-pandemic, we all shut down for the world. I shut down for a year and a half. There was no really performing to do. You kept busy personally, but how you been?
I've been great. Busy and just working and a lot of great things are in the mix right now. We planted a lot of seeds and we're seeing those kind of come to fruition now. And just a very exciting time, a very tiring time, but it's always a blessing to be busy rather than bored at home. So yeah, I'm definitely grateful.
Definitely true that for sure. Let's do a quick recap to remind my listeners just a little bit about yourself since it's been a while. We've talked previously. You're from Arizona. You were always in music, even did gymnastics for a while. Talk about looking back now from where you're at in your career. How your early influences affected to where you are today.
Yeah, it's kind of a full circle moment for me because I started off in musical theater when I was around 8 years old. My grandpa took me to a strip mall because a company called Value Theater was having auditions for a show called The Canterville Ghost. I had never ever done any performing up until that point. I auditioned. I sang "I Will Always Love You" by Whitney Houston. I nailed it. I got the part. And we started rehearsals, I think, a couple weeks later. And it was just like one of those experiences where it was when like I realized like this is what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. You know, when they say the bug bit you, it quite literally bit me. And I remember just like getting to set every day and just being just so enamored by the other actors that were way more seasoned than me. Again, I was 8. Everybody was like, in their 20s or even 30s, 40s. So I just listened. I was like a sponge, and to this day, I'm still a sponge. I ask a lot of questions. I am very observant. I'm a nosy person. so I mean, I think, but that experience kind of laid the foundation for what was going to eventually end up now me off Broadway doing Naked Boys Singing. I've done a couple other theater productions since then, but this is kind of one of the bigger types of things that I've done. I mean, I'm in New York City, right? I'm in the Big Apple, and that's really cool. Not a lot of people get that opportunity. So yeah, I'm super stoked about it.
Very, very cool. And we talked before when Beautiful came out, which is still like one of my all-time favorite songs of yours. I mean, I
Thank you.
Between bumpers all the time between guests on the show. And talk about, that's when you first kind of came out publicly to everybody. You never really hit it amongst your close friends. Talk about that journey, but where do you see yourself from then till now, just in your whole finding more chosen family and coming out since then?
Yeah, honestly, like again, like you nailed it. I was already out to my friends and family. I think 2016 was more of me making a statement to the people that, if there was ever any confusion, or to the people that, I think it was more just of me saying, here to all my younger fans, that if you think that being queer is a detriment to your career. It's not, because I'm over here living my dream. And I think that if anything, when you're authentic, I think other doors open for you and the universe kind of conspires to help you. So I think 2016 was more about my fans and less about me. Again, all my friends and family already knew that I was queer since I was little. You know what I mean? So it's not, there was never any doubt there. But Beautiful was kind of one of those, also one of those situations, one of those songs where it was really empowering for like all walks of life. And yeah, I think it again, like it was just coming out and saying like, here's who I am. I love who I am, and you should love who you are too.
Exactly. Well said, my friend. I love
Yeah,
that.
thank you.
And we've talked, we have talked a little bit of Idol, since that's where you were nationally known from, and it's in the middle of a neat season right now.
Yeah,
Cooperated people there before. I mean, we had Michael Orland on the show, who Beautiful came from.
yeah.
Looking back now on those experiences, what have you learned from Idol that still helps you to this day?
Well, Michael Orland and I collaborated on a song called Sorry. And I would say like he taught me a lot about just like discipline and, hard work ethic, and always just being on top of your game and staying ready for opportunities. I think, being on that show, it was like boot camp for singers. There's no better way to like throw somebody who had never been on television into like this like industry. And it really is an industry that I was kind of unaware of up until that point. I had a record deal before, but I was kind of like incubated or whatever, if you will, because the label didn't want me to know sort of like all the financial stuff and like what was coming out of my pocket, and like the artistic decisions that I did not own, even though they were mine. So when I got onto Idol, I was kind of privy to like all of that stuff. So it was a huge growing experience for me. People often ask me like, why do you always think American Idol? And I'm like, well, because that show really gave me my start. And to this day, I'm still grateful that I had that. I was super lucky. I mean, yeah, do I think I'm talented? Sure. But do I think most of it is, hard work and a mixture of luck? For sure. Yeah. There's a lot of talented people that I know that never get that sort of a platform. So I don't ever take it for granted. It's never really lost on me.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get into some of the previous work we haven't got to talk about in a bit. I mean, we're doing Naked Boys Singing now in New York, but you actually premiered it back in September of 2021 in Las Vegas. Great cast. Matt Landwinski is a great friend of the show. He's been on a couple of times. Him and
Love Matt.
Kevin. Talk about the first experience in Vegas, and then what was it like to be asked back to New York?
Vegas was great. Vegas is a whole different vibe. We got a lot of bachelorette parties. We got a lot of crazy drunk people that would come in and they would laugh their faces off. It was really cool. Such a great energy in Vegas. I'm glad I got to do that residency. And it was sort of like my first major gig out of the pandemic, honestly. So I was just happy to get the hell out of Dodge and just have like a good time in theater and be amongst the cast. There's nothing really, I mean, my most favorite thing to do would be to show up to set, and just be backstage getting ready with the boys and, sort of just like doing our warm ups. And that's just like, that's where I'm at. That's where I belong. So that was great. But then, I took some time off. I recorded an album. I did a bunch of other stuff in between. And then I saw that Tom D'Angora was doing the New York production of it. And I immediately texted him, and I was kidding / half kidding. I was like, how dare you do this show in New York and not ask me to come back? And his response was, do you want to come back? And I was like, oh yeah, totally. So, I mean, it's a classic case of closed mouths don't get fed. If you don't ask, the answer is always no. And I've always been that kind of person that, injects myself into the situation. If it's something I really want to be a part of, I'm like, no, pick me. So it was cool. He said yes. And then, a few weeks later, I was on a flight here. So yeah. And honestly, like the crowds here are so different. I think New York has this wild appreciation for theater. It is like the home of Broadway. So I don't think there's really any other feeling like it. And you can feel it. It's palpable with the crowds. It's a different, I mean, I love Vegas, but New York is just it's a different vibe.
Right. Yeah. Energy totally
Yeah.
different. I saw Naked Boy singing in New York near the beginning of its run many years ago. So yeah, it's great to see it back in New York.
It's grown a lot. It's grown a lot since Tom has kind of taken it on and directed it, etc. I mean, it's definitely it's a different production than it was, say, 20 years ago.
Nice. And it's kind of billed as an original kind of Naked Boys singing. I remember back, you had a bit of a controversy. They talked about your old stripping days in Arizona, big whooping deal.
Yeah.
And that was controversial at the time. Now you have this, Loud and Proud. Is it kind of a nice FU to everybody else who gave you that grief before?
It's nice. Yeah. It's another full circle moment. I just kind of lean into things, and now I try not to swim upstream so much. I did that for a number of years, and it was so painful. Like, my 20s were so painful. I wouldn't go back if you paid me, unless you were giving me the knowledge that I have now. Yeah, I mean, that controversy used to really hurt me, and now I've just fully leaned into it. I think it's really important that people now can see what I went through back then, and maybe in some way, shape, or form attribute it to the ease of which they can sort of move through the industry better now. And because being queer wasn't popular back then, certainly being a stripper wasn't. I've seen both happen on the show since then, and they soar through the next round with flying colors, which did not happen to me. So, I hope in some way that there was a road that was paved by me and some other American Idols that were gay when it was unpopular,
Exactly. Very true. And is it kind of funny to see, does the fan base change from twink backstripping in the early years to now? Do you have the twinks looking up to you? Are you a little more seasoned, even though you're still gorgeous as hell? Is it a different audience base now, fan base?
You mean like my fan base?
Yeah.
I don't know. I've let me think. Oh, I was in acting class a few months ago, and one of my acting classmates, I think he's around like 20, 25, and he was like, man, not to like embarrass you or anything, but I would watch you on American Idol with my family. And I mean, we're talking, that was like, so he must have been like, I don't know, I think he might have been like 28 actually, but like, so then 15 years. So he was like 13 years old. So I don't know necessarily that I don't know if my fan base has changed. I think they've just kind of grown up with me. Right. And I think too, because I like to speak to youth, and I'm involved with a couple mental health organizations, that I'm still like relevant to some younger kids and stuff, because I think the issues are still very much the same when it comes to the queer community. And I think mental health is something that needs to be really addressed and talked about more. So yeah, I mean, I have such a wide array of fan base. I have girls from like 15 to like 70, same age for the boys. Like it's just I welcome any and all. You know what I mean?
That is great. I do want to talk about one of your past songs that we never got to talk about since we weren't on the air. Yeah. I did give you a big shout out in social media because I loved it. But ILY or I Love You featured my very good friend Benji Schwimmer. You had some dance moves with him, my friend. That was a great video. I want to go ahead and play that song just because it's a little juxtaposition to where you're at with this new song. So let's play that, and I want to talk about it when we come back on the other side, okay?
Okay.
All right, well, this is ILY from my guest today, Mr. David Hernandez. You're listening to Left of Str8 Show right here on the Left of Str8 Radio Network. Here we go.
So, how are we this week?
I'm crazy. I change my mind. I go back and forth, up and down all of the time. I can be selfish. Sometimes I'm cruel. The world breaks me down. I block you out, then run back to you. But if there was anything I could tell you, I wouldn't be who I am if it weren't for you. Take my hand, please forgive me. And don't give up when it's not easy, baby. I love you, I love you, I love you. I swear it's not true. When lying in bed, and my hands on your head, please say you know. I love you, I love you, I love you. I swear it's not true. Oh, I could spend a lifetime just trying to prove it to you. I love you. So amazing, every pain that we've been through. You stood by me, I stood by you. And baby, we never moved. So if there was anything I could tell you, I would be who I am if it weren't for you. I know it's hard, please forgive me. And don't give up when it's not easy. I love you, I love you, I love you. I swear it's not true. When we're lying in bed, with my hands on your head, please say you know. I love you, I love you, I love you. I swear it's not true. Oh, I would spend a lifetime just trying to prove it to you. I love you. I don't wanna wait before it's too late. Regret the words I never said. I love you, I love you, I love you. I swear it's the truth. When we're lying in bed, in my hands in your head, please say you know. Oh yeah. I love you, I love you, I love you. I swear it's not true. Oh, I could spend a lifetime just trying to prove it to you. I love you. I love you, I love you, I love you. I swear it's not true. When we're lying in bed, and my hands in your head, yeah. Please say you know. Oh yeah. I love you, I love you, I love you. I swear it's not true. Oh, I could spend a lifetime just trying to prove it to you. I love you. I love you. I'm crazy. I change my mind. I go back and forth, up and down all of the time. I can be selfish. Sometimes I'm cruel. The world breaks me down. I block you out, then run back to you. But if there was anything I could tell you, I wouldn't be who I am if it weren't for you. Take my hand, please forgive me. And don't give up when it's not easy, baby. I love you, I love you, I love you. I swear it's not true. When we're lying in bed, and my hands on your head, please say you know. I love you, I love you, I love you. I swear it's not true. Oh, I could spend a lifetime just trying to prove it to you. I love you.
All right, guys, we are back. That was ILY or I Love You from my guest today, David Hernandez, featuring in the music video our good friend Benji Schwimmer. Talk about that song and work with Benji, because like I said, you guys, I mean, he did some amazing choreography for you too. Talk about how that experience was.
Yeah, I wrote that song in my spare bedroom during the pandemic. I think it was during 2021. Um, I don't know. It was on my heart, and I feel like you should tell people you love them all the time, more than once, every day. Make it weird, make it uncomfortable, because you never know when someone's going to be here or if you're going to be here. And just it's good to always appreciate, who you're with and who you love. Um, but I don't know. For some reason, I'm not a dancer by any means, but I had seen some different music videos. I had seen like Galen Hooks, who I think is incredible. And I kind of wanted to just emulate a little bit of that, but put my own flavor on it. So my graphic designer, Brady Kerr, actually grew up with Benji Schwimmer. So he had said, well, why don't you reach out to Benji? He could probably choreograph it for you. And I was like, I had known Benji through the grapevine because I had been on tour with his sister at one point in time. So I reached out to him and I was like, hey, here's a song, here's an idea. I would like to do minimal dancing. Like, I'm not a dancer. And I'd love you to play my love interest in it. And he was like, I don't know if I want to play your love. I'll just choreograph it. We'll cast somebody else for you that looks the part. And I was like, you look the part, Benji, shut up. And so we ended up doing it. We got in the first round of rehearsals and he was like, you're a dancer. And I was like, no, Benji, you're a dancer. I'm a singer. You're the dancer. Are you like on crack right now? And he was like, no, David, you don't give yourself enough credit. So anyway, he created this entire amazing routine. And then when we got to set, it just all came together. And I think it conveyed exactly what I wanted it to, which was, let's normalize therapy. Let's normalize queer love. And let's just talk about all that shit. Let's normalize the trans community, because the Alexa who played the therapist, she is my beautiful trans friend. She's incredible. And I don't know, the video is super special to me. And if you notice, it has the most views out of any of my video. Well, Beautiful has more, but I mean, since then, I Love You has been like at the top. So obviously it resonated with more than just me and Benji.
No, it really did. I just said it was phenomenal.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can you describe your sound when we first started chatting back as kind of pop and R&B influence, inspirations from Stevie Wonder and Peebo Bryson to Alicia Keys and Michael Jackson? The new song we're going to talk about in a minute is definitely in that vibe. But you seeing any of your musical influences changing at all? Or who are you looking up to these days and what's on your playlist?
I mean, it's definitely changed, but it's also stayed the same. A lot of the people you just mentioned, I very much so look up to, but I'm influenced by also the newer music as well. I love Frank Ocean. I love Billie Eilish. God, who else? There's so many people. There's so many people out there that I love. Oh, geez. Duncan Lawrence. He's incredible. Fletcher. I listen to a lot of like New Music Fridays. Also, my boyfriend sends me a lot of stuff because he listens to a lot of that stuff as well. And so I'll just like, yeah, I always keep my roots, but I realize that in order to not become archaic, you have to, you got to do your research, you got to listen, you got to study. But I think I'm just youthful at heart. So like I naturally just gravitate towards these sounds anyway, which When It Rains, It Pours has that sort of vibe to it. And it has those sort of breathy, stacked vocals, kind of like a Billie Eilish-esque. And then, the music is very minimal. And the drums that come in, I don't know, there's just something really dope about them. They sound very modern. And my friend Trent Park, who produced the record with me, I would attribute that to him. I would give that, accolade to him because he was like, no, these drums are dope. And I was like, I don't know, are you sure we shouldn't just go, when it, and he was like, no, let's just keep it like sparse and cool. And so it's one of my favorite songs on the album, which is why it's the first single. And I think it, people think like, are you in a rut right now? I'm like, no, I just like to talk about mental health because at any given time, it's a very slippery slope. Like you could be having a great day and then the next day you're just like, oh God. And then you turn this song on and you're like, I'm not the only one who has bad days,
I hear that. I'm the same way. I've had my struggles, talked to counselors and the whole 9 yards. I think you do.
Yeah.
Someone's going to trigger you, something like that. You never know. Something brings
Yeah.
up a feeling that you didn't experience for a while. And all of a sudden you even see someone else experience it, it brings back that trauma to you. So
Yeah, exactly. But it's not, I mean, I think it's nice to be able to relate to people because then it makes it not so shameful. You don't have to hide it. You don't have to feel so alone. I think that that's super important to take away the stigma of that. Yeah.
agreed. Well, since you brought up the song, let's go ahead and play it for everybody. It's
Okay.
an amazing new work. And then we'll talk about a little more and a couple other things on the other side and wrap it up here, okay?
Okay.
All right, this is the newest cut from the upcoming album from my guest today, David Hernandez. You're listening to the Left of Str8 Show right here on the Left of Str8 Radio Network.
Lonely, just like the road I'm on is lonely. Concrete, I've built my walls so high that 20 feet. And people say it'll be okay. It's only you standing in your own way. They say I'm trying hard not to crack or break, but the pressure feels more than I can take. I can take. When it rains, it pours. Strangers I meet distract me. Anxiety makes it so hard to breathe, and I know that I'll be okay. I've made it through worse, got here my prayers. Breath from 10 to 1. Open my eyes and see there's nothing wrong, but oh, it's wrong. When it rains, it pours.
Back. That was When It Rains, It Pours, the newest single out from David Hernandez's upcoming album. My featured guest today and good friend of the show. Love that music, my friend.
Thank you so much. That means a lot.
It's so relatable. I mean, you and I have always been social friends. We're never in the same city, but I love following you on social media. We've talked on social media a lot. I've got to have you in the show a few times, but you're so relatable and it comes through all your music whenever we chat with. I just love that about you. Talk about how that works its way into your music and your songs.
Relatability?
Yeah, the relatability and just your vibe in general, I think, is that.
I don't know. I guess I don't really try to be relatable. I think I just I try to be vulnerable, which I used to think was like a detriment, until I started being vulnerable, and I think that was really freeing for me. So I try to be really transparent in my music as well. Like this last EP with When It Rains, It Pours on it, and Miss You and Vices and all that stuff that's available now. I sat by myself in my room in Vegas and I wrote that entire EP. And I did rewrites with it. Like I went back to the table. I was like, that's not honest enough. That's not particular enough. I didn't want to be general, but then I wanted people to be able to take away from it without being too specific. So it's a very fine line I think you walk. I mean, telling your truth is one thing, but then having people be able to relate to it is another. So I just think that, I don't know. I think it was just like a beautiful storm and it worked. And it's honestly probably the most proud I've ever been of any like body of work that I've done, just because when I listen back to it, I'm like, oh my God, I was so raw in that. Even the vocals that I cut were raw. I produced all the vocals. I cut all the background vocals. I did most of the music along with Trent Park. And then my buddy Push Kalan mixed it. So that it was a very, very much so like an in-house, like homey production that we all did. And it was special. It was special.
BP is amazing. Now, the video for the song just dropped, I believe, yesterday, the day before. Getting some amazing looks of views. Talk about the feel for that. I mean, and it has all these themes in it and the breaking the chains that bind you, so to speak. And give me the concept for the music video.
Yeah, the concept is basically an entire metaphor for what goes on inside my brain at any given time. So you have the wind, the rain, the fire. You have basically all these elements that constantly, and sometimes they're happening one at a time, and sometimes they're happening all at once. And that's probably not a good day to catch me. When it's all just spiraling and I'm trying to like find the tools, or like I'm texting my therapist, like emergency meeting, please. Like things are not okay. The video was very much a collaboration between me and Trent Park. I think we were on set for maybe 6 or 7 hours, but we had a storyboard. We had a treatment for basically every single scene we wanted to do. It was very mapped out. We made our own costumes. I rented 2 big leaf blowers from Home Depot to create the wind tunnel scene, and then I returned them. Anyone that, because they're very expensive. But then I had the 2 PAs on set like hold them, and I was like, make it so that I can't breathe. Like get it so close to my face where I'm like, because that's how it feels when you have anxiety. Like you feel like you're suffocating. So I wanted it to feel that way, and I wanted it to look real. So I threw some acting skills in there, but also some of it was just real. I was like, I literally can't breathe. I remember one time I was laying on my back, and we were in a rain room, so there was actual water coming down, and it was freezing cold water, soaked. And I had on a full suit, and I was like sitting. This was my idea, by the way. I'm like, I want you to. I had my videographer on a ladder, and he was like shooting down. And I was like, I want to be laying on the ground, and I just want to be. It was a terrible idea. It never made the cut because I was literally drowning. Like I couldn't even, like the water's pouring down, it's freezing cold. And then I was like, okay, this is not going to work. Let's plan B. So thankfully there was enough other great shots in there that we were able to use, but it wasn't the easiest shoot because I was like soaking wet, and then I was trying to dry off, and then we're shooting the wind tunnel scene, and then I had to get pretty for the all white scene. So everybody, it was a group effort. We all were trying to help David out.
It was a gorgeous shoot. If you guys haven't seen it, be sure to look it up on YouTube or wherever you can find it. And it has some fun little outtakes of the shooting at the end on YouTube, which I like too. So that's,
yeah. It's not all serious. I mean, we have fun.
Right, exactly. I mean, if you weren't enjoying your career, what's the point of having it, right? You got to have a little
Exactly. You got to be having fun.
I like it a lot. All right, well, let's talk about tonight's show, David Hernandez and Friends. I've been to the
Yeah.
Laurie Beachem Theatre. I've seen some things there. It's a great venue, great sound there. Talk about, are you looking forward to it tonight, and who your friends are?
Oh my God. I am looking forward to all of it. I'm so excited. We have a full 4-piece band plus 2 incredible background singers. The venue's gorgeous. The friends are everybody that shows up to the show, including my band. That is David Hernandez and Friends. I look at it like a collaborative effort. I never think I'm up there and I'm the star. Like, I mean, it's my show, but at the same time, it's all of our show. And I want people in the audience to feel like they're a part of it too. So I tell a lot of great stories, stuff you haven't heard from before Idol, during Idol, maybe some tea, and then things that have happened after Idol, and like just life and what I've encountered. And but I think the most important thing is the stories told through the original music that I've written, from the very first song that I've written to the very last song that I've written. And so that's what's really special about this particular show. I've never done a show where I sang all original music. So I'm really excited for people that come to kind of like to be like, oh, wow, okay. There's some moments too. I was rehearsing with the background singers, and one of my background singers, Leah, she was like, I really love this song. And it was a song I wrote about my mom called She's Coming Undone. And it just made me happy that like years later, somebody still appreciates that. And I think that I should do more of this kind of stuff.
Definitely get on that tour, my friend. It's a hard work, but it's your fans will love every second of it.
No, for sure. I'm very excited about tonight. I think it's going to be so incredible. I'm excited about the jacket that I'm wearing. It's epic. And I'm excited about the band and us just jamming out and losing ourselves in the music. It's going to be rad.
That's great. Well, guys, be sure to look and see. It's at the Laurie Beachem Theatre. I know you have a link on your website. I'm not sure if it's sold out. I didn't check before we went on air today. But
there's still some tickets available, and they're available at the door. They're available online right now. You should get it online. They're a little bit cheaper, but if you want to just show up and buy it at the door, that's totally fine too. But we do have a nice size house, so come through.
There you go. I love it. And talk about what's next. How long are you going to be in New York for, and what's some of these projects you have in the fire that you can talk about and maybe not talk about yet?
Sure. I have one more Naked Boys singing show tomorrow night. Then I have one more the following weekend, and then I'm done. I'm done with Naked Boys. They keep going, but I go back to LA. I have a couple weeks off. I'm going to be speaking at a mental health retreat, and then I'll be flying to Europe for my birthday. And then the minute that I land on June 2nd, I will be headlining West Virginia Pride. And after that, I go to Chicago for a couple of weeks to begin working on my new podcast. So it's gonna be a busy summer. Let's just say that. I'm very excited.
Wow. Well, you got to come back and talk about the podcast for sure. Where in West Virginia? That's my one state up from me.
Charleston.
Charleston's a 6-hour drive, I think. Well, New York's a 6-hour drive.
I mean, you could swing that. I'm worth it. Come on, Scott.
You are worth it big time.
And guess what? This time we have a whole new show. We have a whole new show this time. I have 2 incredible dancers that are meeting me there, and we have a full-on like choreographed moment that you're gonna love. It's great.
Like I said, I feel like we're friends because we talk, and I just follow you. I love everything on social media you post about your workouts. You talk about your mental health. I mean, you did a great shout out to Mom the other day. I mean, you're just a great person to follow, and I appreciate being at least online friends. And I appreciate every time you come on the show, my friend.
I just try to be as transparent as possible in hopes that somebody else out there can live their truth as well. I don't always get it right, though. I'm not perfect, so keep that in mind.
It's hard. You got to be you. Well, David Hernandez, I hope people see the show tonight if you're in New York. But be sure to let them know where they can find the EP and where they can follow you on social media, as I do.
Absolutely. The EP is streaming on all digital platforms, including Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, Tidal, you name it. And you can follow me on Instagram at @DHernandezMusic. Also Twitter, same handle at @DHernandezMusic. And you can find the link for the Laurie Beachem Show in my bio on Instagram. Or just go to LaurieBeachemTheatre.com.
There you go.
Fan.
David Hernandez, always a pleasure having you on the show, my friend. Kill it tonight. I know you're going to, and we will be in touch over the summer, okay?
All right. Thank you, Scott.
All right. We're going to have David back next week with 5 questions with little bonus stuff here. But for now, we are done. Thanks for listening to Left of Str8 Show right here on the Left of Str8 Radio Network.
Thanks for listening to the Left of Str8 Show. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast distributor, and please give us a 5-star rating so more listeners can find us. You can follow us on social media, and be sure to check out our website, www.leftofstraightradio.com, for contests and other news and information. See you next week.